everybody. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for your patience as we've been trying to deal with all the technical difficulties, the updates, and everything else. We have been in here for 50 minutes trying to get everything going for you guys. Jeff B is backstage and he is going to come in with some great information like he always does. But I want to first and foremost thank you for your patience. LW is going to go ahead and come in a moment. He's getting his update finished, so he told me to go ahead and start the show. Sometimes you know how that goes with technical difficulties, you guys, and with the updates and stuff. So we're going to have to start getting in here in about an hour ahead of time. So it's good to see so many of you familiar names and stuff in chat. It's good to join you guys again. LW just got his Liberty Warrior Nation 2 big channel back. Thank you. After 3 years, they said LW did nothing wrong, that they were sorry that they took him down, and thank you for your patience. And I say, you know what? 3 years later, yeah, that's a lot of patience. But it's so funny because LW did tell me to start the show. And guess what? I did start the show and was talking, but I forgot to hit the live button. I sent Jeff B backstage, and I'm sitting here chatting away, and LW's like texting me, go ahead and start. And I'm thinking I already did start, but I didn't hit the live button. So we are a little bit rusty, but that's okay. So once again, thank you guys for all your patience and stuff. And what I want to do before I bring Jeff B in, you guys, we have a great show. Jeff B has been telling us some stuff backstage while we were working on getting updated and stuff. And I'm telling you, he always brings the great information. And he just gave me some information about our debt that I find astounding, that we didn't know, that you have to look and find, but it is out there. But I'm going to let him talk about it once he gets on air because it's incredible. It's optimistic. And these days, you really have to search and look to find the information out there. It's not just hearsay, there's documents. So I was really excited about this. So I'll bring him on in a second. I'm going to let him talk about that before we get the actual show started with LW here. But I first and foremost want to say thank you very much from Jeff, LW, and I to Patty J. She bought us 10 coffees to get the show started tonight, and we really appreciate that. Thank you. Always great information. Listen, you guys, we really work hard. A lot of the mods in chat work hard with us as well, so thank you very much. We try to bring you the most accurate, best information that we can. We don't try to put in fear. We don't try to put in lies or conspiracy. Basically, though, a lot of the information that we gave years ago is coming true. It is true. And we were picked on, made fun of, and all that. But here we are 3 years later, and it's go time. So I'm going to go ahead and bring in the one and only Jeff B while we are waiting for LW to come on in. So, hey, Jeff B, welcome, and thanks for your patience as well backstage, hanging out while we got this rolling tonight.
Yeah, we just need a wet bar backstage.
That's what we need. 150%. We do definitely need that. But it was a great time backstage. But, I love how excited people are in chat. I love how they love sharing information. I love how they like to join as a community, hear what you have to say, and share their information. And also, look forward to what you have to say. So, before LW comes in, I thought it would be really cool if we talked about what you and I were just talking about with this whole debt thing going on. I think that it's very timely because you were saying there's some stuff out there since 2017 that people are saying BS, but you can actually look at it yourself. And this is the crisis point that we are with finances, right? Everybody thinks that everything's going to come tumbling down, what's going to happen, and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to go ahead and give you the floor, and why don't you explain to the viewers and listeners and everything else right now what you had just told me backstage, if you don't mind, sir.
Yeah, so some of this may be rehash from, other channels that I've done shows on. So some people may be hearing this for the second or third time. But the reason that this came up was, uh, Trump has been saying, along with the Treasury Secretary, that the month of November, uh, every American citizen could be looking at a tariff stimulus check. So basically, the kind of like with the whooping cough payments, that they're possibly more than likely will be a stimulus check from tariff revenues. And so if you listen to, Trump and them say that, Tammy had brought up the fact that, wait, we're 36 trillion dollars in debt. How are we going to be able to do this? And so at that point, I realized, oh, wait, I don't believe you knew about these documents. So in 2017, within a few months of Trump coming into office, there was a press conference where one of the reporters, and it seemed like it was almost staged, where the reporter was basically making fun of Trump, talking about how he has ran companies basically into the ground, filed bankruptcies, and all of that. And Trump basically said, "Hey, um, I'm using the laws on the books that Congress has provided me. So if you want people to stop doing that, then change the laws." And of course, they never wanted to do that because their friends benefit from it. And it was kind of a weird answer that he gave at the time. But if you go to the federal bankruptcy court in the state, or the city of Tallahassee, Florida, and you do a document search, a bankruptcy search for the Corporation of the United States of America, you will see that Trump and Treasury filed the country bankrupt in 2017, and it was finalized in 2019 that the country was dissolved, the corporation was dissolved, and that the Fang family, the richest family inside China, had wired 32, I believe it was $32.8 trillion to the US Treasury. And if you remember when the vid first started, Trump come out and said whoever did this, they are going to have to pay for doing this to the world.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody thought, well, oh boy, we're here we go. We're going to be blowing somebody up. But it looks like it wasn't a war, it was a payoff.
Yeah, so we know all about the threats from China and all the gossip and words about China, like you were saying, and how Biden was friends with China, but China was going to come after us. So when you guys hear Jeff say $32 trillion they deposited into the Treasury, that basically China like paid off our debt as a result of what Trump had said about they're going to have to pay for what they did to this country. Oh my goodness, look who tried to insert himself. We can hear you.
All right, can Jeff hear me?
Can you hear him, Jeff?
No.
He
No.
still can't hear you.
All right.
So you just go ahead and chit chat and figure it out there. But yeah, so I think that's an incredible statement right there that he made, that having the Tallahassee Federal Bankruptcy Court has these documents, you can look it up. That is a big deal because everybody's worried about things crashing, dollar losing its value, being in debt. How long can we go on with this? There's no money for this, but there's money for that because the Dems, one of the things the Dems want money for, holding hostage, opening up government. I told Jeff this backstage in LW too, is they want to have money and send it to Haiti for the pastry people there that are GAY and they're prostitutes. So we don't have money to keep the government open. We don't have a budget for this or that. But the Dems feel that we need to send millions and billions of dollars over to Haiti so the male prostitutes can have pastry classes and become pastry chefs. How bass-ackwards is all of that, in your opinion, Jeff?
Well, the only thing that could make this story better is if they said they were going to be making like cream sticks. It's just so outrageous
Mm-hmm.
that I mean, it's almost like they're saying this and doing this to piss people off.
Almost, because it is so ridiculous. They know. Now, remember, and that's how I wanted to start off the show tonight, and we'll just go ahead and get that started because I don't know if we can play the videos yet or not until they get everything fixed. But is the King protest? So we talked about that, LW and I, and in hindsight, the aftermath of it, there's a video that I have that I want to play, and basically is these protesters were paid off. There's a guy that has his own channel, and he was talking about it, and he said, "I want to, how do we do this?" and blah blah blah. Well, they were giving him information until they found out he was filming them, and one of the other ladies said to him, "They're filming you. Don't talk about it." So we're finding out, number one, that the big protest, they were paid protesters, whether they were old people or not, and also Trump came out and gave a statement about regarding a king, and he's saying, I'm no king, but I worked my ass off for you guys, and that's all there is to it. So he came out and said, I'm not a king. But some of these videos that they were using, Jeff, I'm sure that you saw it too, they were from old protests or old rallies or old different events. One was, like I heard, the Boston Marathon. All these videos were fake with these crowds. Did you
Correct.
see that?
Yeah. Yeah, they were pulling old file footage. Now, some of the live, the guys, the content creators. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, some of the crowds were, I mean, I guess you could say impressive, uh, but uh, in comparison to what I think they were expecting, it was really nothing. It was
Yeah.
truly nothing, and it just, and the whole thing made 0 sense, anyways. I mean, it's how they get kings out of this is just a not nonsense. Because guess what? If he wanted to be a king, or he would have wanted to be a dictator, guess what? You wouldn't be out there protesting.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't the kings of the old days, if anybody, even if they even heard rumor about somebody saying bad against them, didn't they go off with
Yeah,
their,
yeah.
you know,
Off with the old head.
right? Right?
Yeah.
So for them to use that terminology, I just think it's probably a double meaning with like Jesus Christ in that sense. They just don't want us. Honoring Jesus Christ either, the King of
Right.
Kings. But it goes a lot deeper. And I know that a lot of the transgender stuff has settled down. But this Kings thing seems like it's their next means and their next agenda for, to be in the forefront of everything. And then I also saw, this was amazing to me because I just keep thinking the Dems, they just keep shooting themselves in the foot. Kamala Harris, did you see the video in the comments she made about she thinks she's the best next thing to be president again? She wants to run and she wants AOC to be her VP, is the rumor.
Right. Yeah. What a catastrophe. I mean, that it look, I think I would have a better chance of throwing my hat in the ring as an absolute nobody, because I could get up there and say some stuff that would piss people off, that would definitely get me some free airtime. And I wouldn't have to go up there and say we can undo what's been undone. And yeah,
Yeah,
it's almost like they're putting people out there in the forefront to make them look like idiots, to get people to say, what is really going on. Because there's a lot of people that 4 or 5 years ago I talked to, that thought I was using my own product. And now they're actually, they come back and they're asking questions like, what does this mean, or why is this going on?
Well, it's bizarre. So, as you said, the No Kings protest was a big nothing burger. But my
Right.
son actually came up with this, and he showed me the total funds that were sent to No Kings two partners. So, the funding network of Arabella sent 79,786,000 plus dollars for it. Buffett put in 16,682,000,000. Ford. Now I'm disappointed in Ford because my father, God rest his soul, is spinning in his grave. He worked for Ford, and when the owner Ford that he knew was alive, he was a good man. But now Ford actually put in 51, I think, billion, 742. No, it was 51 million. $742,446. Then you got, of course, Rockefeller's put in 28 million. Soros put in 72 million, and Tides. Whoever, do you know who Tides is? I don't know who Tides is. They put in 45. So basically, it's a grand total of 294 billion 400, or is that 294 million? I'm sorry, I'm getting my
Right.
little slash. I'm sorry, 294 million $487,641 that these investors put into funding Kings 2, because they had these professional signs that were made up that said these are Republican trolls or whatever it was, and they would aim it at somebody that was trying to ask them questions and all that. So I just think that it was a big waste of money, thank God. But like you said, they aren't going to stop. They really aren't going to stop, because what choice do they have?
Well, and I'm kind of surprised that like Warren Buffett, that kind of shocks me, but just because it's coming from Berkshire Hathaway or whatever doesn't mean he's actually supporting it, even though there should be some type of oversight for it. But what I question now is, with this actually coming out into the forefront with these numbers, is this going to be a trigger for Executive Order 13848, to where Treasury now says, okay, you have been attempting a coup of the government. Now we're going to seize your assets.
Wow.
So I think there's a lot of hidden stuff behind this that, isn't being shown right now, or being explained or being brought up, just to weed out where all this dark money is coming from. Because if I was an investor of a company that supported this, and it's not just because it's Trump. If they would have done it against Joe Biden or against Bill Clinton or Barack Obama, even though I don't care for their policies, it hurts the country, and I'm withdrawing my investment because it's not right to do that against the country.
Right. So the legit ones would do that. Yeah. It's just there's so much of it. There's so much corruption and nastiness. It's like everywhere you turn, it's just incredible. It's mind blowing. When he talks about draining the swamp years ago and the deep state, he's not kidding, because it's in every aspect of what runs us, from money to food to property to taxes, and it goes on and on. And I really believe, because when you take down a top person of a corporation, or they retire or they fire them, there's always a pecking order, and there's always somebody to fill that place in space. So if you don't take the whole thing down, they're just going to bring somebody else back up to fill that space. So that's why when they say we need to wipe it clean, that to me makes a lot of sense.
Right, right, and this is there's so much that the people that were kind of like in the same circle, the stuff that we did, that have either gotten out or gotten promoted or went to different agencies. The guys that are still, in the game, uh, I can always tell when something's about ready to happen or something is being pushed to happen, because they go dead silent.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't want to say something that, may compromise just, because they can say stuff in ways that'll, uh, won't reveal stuff, but it'll give me an avenue to start looking at.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Wayne had said there's over 300 companies supporting this crap. That's a lot of companies,
Correct.
unfortunately. That's. I mean, I just read off the main big ones, I guess,
Right.
and so you have to ask yourself, why would companies support something like this? We have to remember when they say they don't want a king, and they don't want the oligarchy ruling. Look at these people who are in Congress and in the Senate and how long they've been in there. That isn't that like an oligarchy? Isn't that don't extend out in and out 4 years? They've been in here for decades. So
Correct.
so isn't that the very meaning of being controlled? They are controlling everything because they've been in there for decades.
Right. And if what Trump says is truthful, this is why I believe that sometime between now and the midterms, there is going to be, and I've heard the case, there's not only the Brunson brothers that was already argued in front of the Supreme Court, um, but there is another case that I was told that is at the justice's desk, to where something to do with the 2020, to where possibly, and it seems more likely, that there's going to be a ruling from the courts that state, due to 2020, both interior and exterior um, anomalies or attempted coup, that we don't know who in Congress is there by the will of the people or by the will of governments.
Uh-huh.
And I believe, and the only way you can correct that is everybody has to go up for reelection, and everyone who wants to run has to go up, and then the American people vote on paper ballots and voter ID.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be the way to go, right? So
Yeah.
maybe that's what it is, because we all know, it's almost like midterms are sneaking up on us, and we started off talking about that a while ago, but now it's like it took the back burner to all these wars and all this stuff going on, and the stopping of wars and the traveling. It's like it took a back burner. But I've left this up here from Miss Mischief. She's saying, "What is the distraction we are missing? Do you think that?" We are missing something. They are keeping us from seeing something.
You mean with the No
Like Monday
Kings,
Mayhem.
or what do
Hey,
they what specific? I guess because I have my theory on the No Kings, and we actually seen a federal judge uh, make a ruling today. So um, I think this whole No Kings thing is kind of like a ploy, and it's to start all this nonsense in Portland, because Portland, federal judge just told the Trump administration um, that no, you can send in federal troops, which we
yeah,
already know, or National Guard, which we already
yes,
knew,
yeah. The
because
ninth. Yep.
and because here's the thing, and I thought it very interesting that the day that Trump comes into the White House for his second term, he filed an executive order that I was told was ran through White House legal counsel and through the staff office at the U.S. Supreme Court, authorizing him within the first 30 days of his second presidency to invoke the Insurrection Act if he felt it needed to be done. And that's an executive order in the National Archives. So you don't write an executive order unless you're planning on doing it. And the president truly, He doesn't have to have an executive order to do it because he's the commander in chief. If he feels that the country's been attacked either internally or externally, he can declare an insurrection. So to me, that's him basically trying to put out to people this possibly or more than likely is going to happen.
Yeah, well, remember, it was just last week he said he was questioned on that by a reporter, and he said, "Listen, that is in all the realm of possibilities, and I will do it if I think that it is necessary to put the Insurrection Act into action." So, this is no longer conspiracy or theory
Correct.
or look it up. The president said it himself to everybody, so I thought it was really good. Let me see here. So LW, let me see. Okay, so he's still working on things. And I do want to remind everybody to please hit the like, follow, and share button as we just got this big channel back and to get us out there. Also, if you can go ahead and like and share on Facebook, LWN Network. The mods do put all of these in the chat for you guys to be able to grab the link and do something with it, because we need to build up our LWN Network Facebook channel, because we have, I think, 200 people on there now, but LW had 15,000 and he got hacked and that got taken down. So we keep fighting to get back. We're trying to hit 250 subs right now. And so we don't have much farther to go, but we'd really appreciate if you guys can take the time to just like, share, and sub to Facebook. And he's still working on this. I keep muting the mic because he can hear him talking, so I'm muting him. So I'm assuming once he's done working, he'll unmute himself. But now back to the show part here, Jeff. How long does the shutdown have to be down before Trump can permanently keep things closed? Linda Mathis is asking. Do you know?
Well, it's not up to Trump. It's up to the Speaker of the House. So
Ooh.
the the
Okay.
the Speaker of the House, they have to call for a vote, and if the Speaker of the House doesn't call for a vote, um, then it doesn't matter. The government can stay shut down. And I was taught
Oh.
right before the shutdown happened. I was talking to a friend at D Marsh, which is with Inside Treasury, and I had told him, I said, if this shutdown continues for more than a week, I think we're about ready to see the craziness. And what I mean by the craziness is just basically like an absolute cleansing of what Doge had probably gave their recommendations on. So because basically we don't have a functioning government right now. So since we don't have a functioning government in the true sense, then we have, um, uh, Trump's basically calling the shots. So they can, they call him a dictator or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I think some of this is possibly is being done to wake a lot of people up. And I know that's a term that we keep using, like beating a dead horse, but
Mm-hmm.
it's true. I mean, there are people that now are saying, well, shit, especially if you're on, a federal income or a federal pension. If you're at some banks, they're covering your income. But how long does it? I think this is probably going to go into Christmas. I truly do, because it's going to take a lot to clean out a lot of stuff. And with Trump and the Treasury Secretary coming out and saying that, well, you know, every American taxpaying citizens could possibly receive a $2,000 check in the month of November from the tariff income. To me, that sounds like another stimulus.
Uh-huh. Okay. Interesting here. Well, the thing is, the tariffs coming in, I mean, are going to help a lot. And does he have free reign to do what he pretty much wants with those, or does that have to go through anybody, or any kind of stipulations to that?
Well, he's the chief executive. So
Right.
if you don't have Congress, because Congress is shut down, he's basically making the shots, calling it. And they got enough swagger because Trump got a mandate from the American people. And what I find also very ironic is when Trump was running for office, the second term, and I kept telling people that um, there's a major issue with Trump down at Mar-a-Lago meeting with, um, the Speaker of the House and that, because that starts getting into questions of the Hatch Act. I have a feeling now that this shutdown is happening. I think this was all calculated by the Speaker of the House and by Donald Trump. So, in that weird letter in the alphabet, there's a specific phrase in there that says done in 30.
Yeah.
So,
So
is the done in 30 days after the government shutdown?
so the question is, and LW wants to know, is this the dark winter?
No, you mean the nuclear winter?
He said, is this, he goes, my question for Jeff is this the dark winter?
I think we're going to have, with the stuff with Venezuela, uh, with Russia. Now, I'm America first, but I think with Russia, there's a lot of stuff that's not adding up with Russia and what they're doing in the Ukraine. I think some of this is a ploy to start exposing NATO, because Trump's not a big fan of NATO, and I think they are using or collaborating with Russia to expose NATO for what they are, which is basically a money vacuum, and the taxpayers are getting ripped off.
Yeah. Well, like I said, backstage, I may not be naive, but so far so good with the government shut down and Trump being in control, as you've explained. It hasn't been bad. I mean,
Right.
I don't know what the problem would be with it being shut down. There's way too many people in government, anyways.
Correct.
And it's the overreach, and it's like our government just kept expanding and expanding and expanding to the point that nothing really gets done. You would think that everything would be done boom, 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 and it's not. So to me, I agree with you. I think that things are set in place, and we're seeing how much government we don't need. And if we have somebody that is really the president of the United States that puts America first, will get out there, balls out, and take care of business, all the different kinds of business. On a side note, the ground just broke today. I think Trump put out there for the ballroom, and people are like, well, who cares about a ballroom? But this is my thing. He's got private investors that are paying for it. We aren't paying for it. In the meantime, we've got government shut down with the Dems wanting to pay for, like I said, male prostitutes in Haiti having pastry classes. That's their idea of spending good money. Trump has this beautiful ballroom that's, an extension of the White House, and he can chew bubblegum, as the saying goes, and walk at the same time. He's handling these 8 wars that he's settled. He's doing everything. He can do multi things at once. And what I like about it is the man is putting beautiful, wonderful things like this. Like, he's showing off the Oval Office, how beautiful it looks in there now. He's pulled, and it was kind of a funny thing today. I don't know if you saw it, but apparently one of the reporters' cameras hit a 400-year-old mirror that he said he just brought up from storage, and he says, you can't be touching that, you can't replace that, like a camera hit it. But he can do all of it. Like, who says he has to just do one thing and that's it? So I don't know. I think it's a wonderful thing, and I'm glad that he cares enough to put flags in the White House yard, lawn, front and back, and he does want to do a ballroom. I think that is money well spent, and it's not even our money. He paid for the flags himself.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's I. I have my mixed feelings about some of this stuff, um, because like you were talking backstage, eggs are still high, gas is still, not in my area. It's not. It's under $3 a gallon. People are still struggling. I mean, there is no doubt our business numbers are down, and I think a lot of it is going back to 2 3 years ago. Everybody knows that there is something going on, even more so now because of just how blatant Trump is being. I mean, he is just being straight. I mean, he mentioned earlier today about Obama. He said, "Obama, you probably got treason charges coming."
Did
I'm,
you guys hear what Jeff just said? If you missed what Trump said, Jeff, repeat that, please, for those that may not have been paying attention.
yeah, it's he on Air Force One. Somebody asked him, one of the press people had asked him about the statement that he made prior to him going to Israel and telling Obama not to violate the Hatch Act. Well, he doubled down today and he's like, yeah, well, um, yeah, he might be coming up on treason charges. And, and I heard 2 days ago that now they're tearing down Obama's library in Chicago that
That
was never opened.
Wow. Well, that was a sore sight. It was sore. It was sore on the eyes. It was not a good sight to see with the eyes. It was not aesthetically pleasing. It just looked like almost like some kind of game cube cement thing that came out of a gaming system or something. It was just really tacky and bad, anyhow. But,
Right.
it is what it is. But, and I'd like to comment here with this comment that's up here. Yes, we are tired of losing our kids, and we are tired of the fentanyl. It's 50 times stronger than heroin that's out. And that ties into what you had just said about Trump isn't playing around anymore. We just got shot down a submarine that was bringing all that into
Correct.
our country. So isn't it like, aren't we at 2 ships now and a submarine that we've
Yeah.
shot down? Shot.
Well, yeah, and there was actually members in Congress that were saying that Trump didn't have the right to do that. They wanted to see the drugs come into the country. Is basically what they were saying. I mean, this stuff is so far out in left field that it either we don't realize how screwed we were with the members of Congress that were in there, or people were being told to say this to make them look like complete idiots. Oh, so
I
I did see one question in there that's very interesting
Okay.
about the deer stand.
Oh
And
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, good.
okay, so when I first heard that story, I called one of my buddies that's in that orbit, and I said, "Hey, are you guys serious? I mean, I know you guys do perimeter checks, and you should have cameras all over that place. And if you noticed when he went down to Florida this weekend, when he got off Air Force One, he used the back stairs." And so I asked him, well, what's the deal? Why didn't you guys tear this down? And he said, well, we wanted to see who gets up in it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow, wow, wow. I know. And it shouldn't be this way. It never should
correct.
be this way. It's just so bad. And it's just disheartening. I mean, they're trying to take out and make us hate a man that's putting America first and straightening out all the crookedness and going into these cities. And like you said, the Ninth Court of Appeals did just approve today President Trump deploying the National Guard. It's the Oregon, I believe, National Guard to Portland. But does
Correct.
he really even need that, Jeff? So my question to you is, does he even need that approval? If he's the head guy, he doesn't really need that, does he? If it's an emergency order?
Well, once Trump federalized, I think that's mostly all optics, and the reason I say optics is because Trump's made this statement numerous times. We have to do everything by the Constitution, but once Trump federalizes the National Guard in certain areas, he can deploy him. He is the commander in chief. So there is no a court can't tell a president what to do with federal troops.
See, okay. So I'm going to try this real quick and play this because LW said I should be able to play that. Now, this is Trump on Air Force One responding about the King protest and working his butt off here. Let's see if we can hear it. Let me know.
Over the weekend, the No Kings protest.
Yeah.
I
Oh
think
my.
it's a joke.
Can you hear
I
it?
looked at the people. They're
Yes.
not representative of this country. And I looked at all the brand new signs paid for, I guess it was paid for by Soros and other radical left lunatics. It looks like it was. We're checking it out. The demonstrations were very small, very ineffective, and the people were whacked out. When you look at those people, those are not representative of the people of our country.
Mr. President, besides San Francisco,
By the way, I'm not a king. I'm not a king. I work my ass off to make our country great. That's all it is. I'm not a king at all.
So let me do this and come back to this because this all wigged out on me. Are you still there?
Yep.
Okay, so my screen is totally black and I can't see chat or anything. My screen is a hot mess right here. Oh my God, I've got double of everything. Oh my gosh. Now, does it look normal from your end?
Yeah. Yeah. Everything looks the same.
Holy cow. If you saw what I'm seeing, I can't see anything. This is crazy. Anyhow, so I thought that was really important. I'm going to work on this here. Let me see. Stop screen. I'm going to end up booting myself out of here is what I'm going to do because it's like doubled up, tripled up. StreamYard. Oh my gosh. You would laugh if you saw my screen right now. Show. Oh, see, I hit something by accident. But anyways, I think it's incredible that he came out and said that he's not a king, and he acknowledged that because before he'd just laugh at it and he wouldn't really pay much attention to it. But it's been incredible with what he's been doing lately. And I just think that I love how he's just being so, I want to say, like a mob boss. People may not like that too well, but I'd much rather have that than what we had before, putting everybody else first and not us. And I like this hardness and directness from him. It shows that he's not playing around.
Well, yeah, and I think with uh, the White House Oval Office meeting that one of my buddies was involved in, where basically Dan Bongino went off the deep end on the president and basically told him how he really felt and that he wasn't going to be basically part, if there is a cover up, I'm not going to be a part of it and I'll blow the whistle on it in a heartbeat. It seems like ever since he basically let loose and a couple other people within that orbit let loose, that, you know, Trump's basically said, screw it, we're doing it. And I think the biggest thing that allowed this momentum to take place is when Pete Hegseth called all the line and flag officers back to Quantico for this meeting that could have been done through a damn memo or through Zoom. And even before the speech was given, that they allowed us, you know, the public to see. You know, to me, it was you could do this over Zoom. Why are you you know, supposedly the country's all these $1 trillion in debt, but yet you're flying all these admirals, generals, and their staffers to the mainland, to Quantico, for a pep rally. Bullshit. You know, that was the first thing that I thought of was like, no, no, no. And then when, you know, one of my buddies said when he was at Quantico and they were doing a pre-sweep, you know, they seen a room in there with 20 polygraph machines. He texted me and he's like, well, there's polygraphs here. And I said, oh, I'm sure there is. And then Trump just comes out a day or two ago when he was at the Oval and he stated how he just signed the commission of either 200 or 250 new officer or new line or flag officers. So that means because now this is just basically Navy that I'm speaking of. They uh, they only have so many billets for line officers and flag officers. So in order for you to add some, you have to get rid of some. So I think a lot of officers either resign their commission or they were let go and
Wow.
possibly you know, maybe taken off to a holding cell.
Wow. It's just, oh, I might have an echo. Do I have an echo?
No, but you got double vision.
Well, if you guys saw what I saw, I've got one screen in front of me. It's black. You can't see anything. And then I opened my monitor over here, and it's
Yeah.
double.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're on here twice, which is
What the heck is going on? We need to reboot. I don't. Let me try to mute.
yeah, you're muted.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna close this. All right, I'm gonna.
Okay. Yeah, now I can't hear you.
What is?
Now, now I can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so I can't see what's going on. I can't see the chat. I have all this crazy stuff on my screen. So I'm just going to keep going with the show. And then when I go to end it, I'm going to have to open something over there and just leave. But I
Gotcha.
wanted to, before we wrap this up, I want to remind everybody, thank you so much. We've got 350 people watching this train wreck that I've become at the moment for technology. But thank you, Jeff, for hanging in there with me. So if you guys could please, like I said, subscribe, hit the like bell, and share, and then follow us on Facebook when the mods drop it, the link in the chat. We'd really appreciate it to build up our Facebook page, because like I said, we're trying to get to 250 people on Facebook, where we had 15,000 and we got taken over by some people that just kind of hacked us and stuff. But so the last thing I wanted to talk about tonight, Jeff, unless you have something, and I'll give you that after I cover this, because I don't want to get in trouble for, hey, Jeff B might have had something else he wanted to say. So I'll get my section 3 here. The Israel and Gaza deal. One of the videos that I had up that I cannot play now is Trump is talking about the Israel and Gaza attack. You know, they just didn't even have the ink dry on the ceasefire, and there's stuff going on. Trump came out and said that this was just a mishap. The communication wasn't thorough. It didn't get to the people on the ground, and it was like just a little mishap, nothing to worry about. In the meantime, he has sent J.D. Vance to go to Israel, and we're assuming to discuss the next stages of the Israel-Gaza ceasefire with Israeli leaders, and he's also going to Poland. So I found that pretty interesting that Trump said it's no big deal because everybody was making a big deal out of it. So what say you about this whole conflict that was supposed to be stopped, and it seems to be going on?
Well, I mean, the Bible says there will never be peace in that region. All right, it is until he comes back. But um, I do find it interesting that basically Trump come out and told him when he was on Air Force One, you don't want me coming into Gaza, because if I come into Gaza, I'm bringing the pain with me. And that's going to probably be AC-130 gunships, just leveling the place, because you had some of these Hamas leaders killing their own people, some of the Palestinians in the middle of the street. Some of the videos that I've seen are pretty horrific. The only thing that really concerns me that I learned earlier today is that um, he's putting Jared Kushner in charge of the rebuilding of Gaza. I don't get that. I mean, being a special envoy, possibly. I don't know. I don't get good vibes from that guy. But of course, I've never met him, never talked to him, so it could be something, very innocent. But I don't know, something, you know. And Trump made a joke about it having a Trump hotel in in Gaza. He may be dead serious. I mean,
I know. I'm thinking he is because he's got one in Saudi Arabia, correct?
yes.
So why wouldn't he? Like he talked about the plans and the layout. Didn't he when he did the Saudi visit? Didn't he show the like model that they had on the table?
Yes.
Of yeah. And you don't you mean to tell me he's not going to have one there too? I mean, seriously. I would expect him to. But I agree with you. And with Jared, I don't know. I get having family work for you and stuff like that and all that, but it seems kind of like an overreach with having Jared there. But, what do I know? And that
Yeah.
ties into me, too. Dan Scavino. I've been an advocate for Dan Scavino for a very long time. I love my Scavino. I said over Trump, I want to beat Scavino. I just think that he's been by Trump's side. He knows Trump well. He's been loyal, etc., etc. However, I mentioned this to you saying putting him in charge of almost everything as far as hiring, firing, and all of that kind of gives me concern because he doesn't have experience in that. Does he, Jeff? You can correct me if I'm
Who,
wrong.
Dan Scavino?
Yeah,
Well, in the specific reference you're referring to is U.S. Marshals.
there you go.
He's being put in charge of the deployment of the U.S. Marshals. Now, my theory and batshit crazy idea is this is a predicate to two big topics that are about ready to pop up on everybody's radar. Number one, I had two people confirm to me from DC that Durham has been meeting with members of the JAG Corps.
Oh, Durham. Remember that name, everybody?
And because remember, Pete Hegseth called in 650 JAG
Yes.
attorneys, and the cover story was they're going to be processing illegals, which is total BS because they only handle UCMJ. They don't handle civilian law unless there's some magic mandate that the White House or White House special counsel is drafted. And I find it kind of funny that right before that was done, Hegseth kicked all the press out of the Pentagon.
Wow.
So they didn't want any leaks coming out of that. That's the first thing that is very interesting. And I believe it started at 1 a.m. this morning. The Amazon Web Services, AWS, started receiving what they're calling some type of attacks. And if it's an outside entity, okay, that's somebody, playing games or whatever. But what I think it is this is a pre-attack vibe, and that's why I named it this, is because I think they are our government, whether it's NSA, CIA, NRO, DIA, whoever three-letter agency is doing it intentionally to stop certain flow of information, because I believe we're probably within a few dozen hours of some type of attack happening in Caracas in Venezuela.
Wow.
And a lot of people believe, it's part of the story, that it's about the drug cartels and about the fentanyl and all the drugs coming from that region. But Colombia does a lot more than Venezuela. So you would think that they would want to focus on that. But what a lot of people have to remember too, that they heard, um, but Venezuela is also where Dominion did a lot of processing, building,
Oh,
and so I think this is all part of a scenario that, uh, you know, the executive orders that are out there, they were redone by Biden during his administration. Um, that if you attempted it and aided and abetted in the coup of the United States government, then you got a receipt coming. And I think this is, and they know it. And I think Maduro knows, just like along with the Vatican and right along with, Germany, when, they raided the Seidel facility in Germany, and that was all conspiracy prior. Well, now it's found out that, oh, wait, that really was true. And you have to, and this is why I think the whole Russia, Ukraine, Poland, the whole thing is a NATO setup, because Germany is a NATO ally. And if they attempted in a coup with the United States government by housing Seidel along with Gina Haspel running the operation, then that's a problem.
yeah, yeah. Well, that's what I mean. It's so detailed, and it's unfortunate because a lot of people aren't paying attention to the detail that you need to fully understand or try to comprehend somewhat what is going on. And like I said, we all pay a lot of attention, a lot of the viewers and listeners to this channel. Obviously you're in touch with people, and LW and I, but LW and I get overwhelmed. We're like, what the heck is going on? Because it's like one day you think you understand something, then something else happens. Just like, we thought the Putin and Ukraine deal was like a done deal, and we've all seen and heard the mess going back and forth with that, and we thought, Zelensky's gonna just take care of it, get business done, stop the ceasefire, and then he starts going crazy again. But then the next thing we know, he ends up at the White House. So I mean, this is like an insane thing. Everything's insane is what it is.
Right.
Like I said, you don't really know. So each day something changes, and when you give the details like you do, we really appreciate it, because that is like details that, like, how do you find that? How do you know that? Like, being in touch and with your expertise with the military and stuff, that really just helps a whole lot, and we certainly appreciate it. But and real quick, I want to thank everybody for the coffees that were bought tonight earlier. Patty, I think the name was 10 Coffees. And once again, you guys, a final reminder just before we head out of here, please hit the bell on the screen, and sub and share and follow us on Facebook. We really do appreciate it. We're trying the best we can to get everything up and running, and as you can tell today, LW was still not able to get back on. And to tell you the truth, my screen is gone. It is still gone. So I'm thankful that we're still running. LW is going to shut me down when I ask, but I can't see anything but the home screen of Google and my icons, so I can only hear. I can't see anything. So we really appreciate everybody's patience tonight, trying to get started later, even though we've been in here for like 45 minutes before the show to get it started. You can't help technical difficulties, but God was good with us tonight to be able to have Jeff be on and have us still be able to be on, as LW was trying to take care of it behind the scenes, and with the the people that are helping us out there, so the producers and all that. So Jeff B., before we wrap the show up, is there anything that you want to put out there that we just didn't cover tonight because of the topics that I had? Is there something that we need to know?
Are you ready for the Hillary
Oh,
Clinton indictment?
oh boy. You know what? I will be jumping up and down when that happens. You think that's coming?
Well, she didn't show up to Congress, and you had two members within Trump's orbit that were arrested and hauled in because they didn't show up. So, with Durham meeting with these JAG attorneys, and all of a sudden you're starting to hear Lynn Wood pop out of the woods again.
I love Linwood.
I
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling as soon as there's one more indictment that I was told was going to happen this week, uh, then she's on deck.
One more indictment this week and she's on deck. Well, remember, she was supposed to appear on the 9th and she did not.
Correct. And the excuse was that her attorneys were trying to negotiate better terms. I don't know. Every time that uh, I've seen where federal prisoners that have been indicted or people that are being indicted, you don't get to negotiate shit. You show up or they come after you.
Well, after her, isn't it? Bill was the next on the schedule, and there's people that are due all the way through the first of next year and also February, right? Doesn't it? The list run through
Correct.
February so far?
Correct.
And I didn't see Obama on that list, did you?
Mm-mm. No, and I think that's why uh, Trump made the comment. Yeah, you're probably looking at treason because there's a lot more with Obama that uh, the American people don't know. And I don't know. I've just been told some of the stuff is just going to blow people's minds.
Well, I think they're going to blow it in a good way because seriously, after all that's been exposed and after we've seen everything we have for so many years now, I think people are ready. People are fed up. The people that aren't, I don't think there's anything that can happen to make them feel that way or see things a different way. They're very close minded, or they're just from the generation of they believe anything and everything that they're told by their favorite news channel or a president that they like. That, don't forget, Kennedy was not a perfect angel, but people loved Kennedy. So
Right.
I mean, that's just society. That's the way it is. But when it is blatantly obvious that one side of the map does not care about America. Even some of our Republicans, I mean, like Ted Cruz was a huge disappointment coming out and saying he got elected. His main goal is to take care of Israel. I don't understand how he's even allowed to keep his seat after that. Not saying he can't help them out, but how about your country? Like, why are we supposed to swallow that kind of stuff and just accept it? I don't get it. Our own representatives that we pay to take care of us are putting other countries first, or other whatever it may be. It's just not us first. So I think people are just fed up, and we've seen the debauchery that has come across with our kids and coming against our kids, and people, I think, are just really fed up. And I don't think that it's going to be that bad for the majority of people. And don't you think that's what they were waiting for? To tilt the scale where the majority are ready and the minority, we pray for them and help them.
Yes. Yes.
So for me, if that's this week, I'm telling you, I'm going to be singing and dancing, and I'm going to crack this studio open as fast as my fingers will allow me if LW's at work. I'm telling you, I will be like, look at this, because we all know that everything that has been brought out about her has not been hearsay. There's records, there's a paper trail, there's a people trail, because people don't, you stop breathing around somebody in that huge amount of numbers. And
Right.
I can't wait for it. I just can't wait, Jeff. So I think that's amazing. And I think that's a good place to end the show, don't you?
Yep. Yeah. I think we're going to be in for a fun 2 weeks.
Well, so everybody at Liberty Warrior Nation knows we're going to be here on as much as we can. Jeff B will be here as much as he can. He's obviously very busy doing what he does and stuff, but we appreciate your time and your patience tonight, Jeff. Thank you so much. So I'll give a final thought after you give yours. I'm going to let you go ahead and give your final thought so you can get onward and out there to where you need to go and do what you need to do.
Well, my only final thought was I'm just extremely amazed at how much input LW gave us tonight. I mean, I'm just so glad that he was able to share his thoughts with us.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah. All right. Well, you guys have a good evening.
Yeah, I'm muted, so I'm just going to go ahead and get out of here, you guys. So take care. God bless. We'll see you on the next one.